Do you like yours? Oh, those are nice. Sarah got a bitchin' new phone. Bitchin'.
I'm so jealous.
I saved up for two and a half years for that phone. So
I'm proud of you.
This was a phone that was long, well earned.
Yeah.
Do you think that your phone might fall in love with you one day? And then be upset when you get a new phone?
I hope it will.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm hoping this phone will last me into old age. It was very expensive.
I just feel like my phone is a piece of garbage now when I look at your phone.
I know. I feel the same way. I'm like, great.
It's like,
cool.
fuck this phone.
I had a 6S before. I had it for like 4 years.
Yeah.
I think so. It was time.
So you have the iPhone
11 Pro Max.
and that's the one that they shot the Snowball commercial
Yes.
with.
Mhm.
Yeah. So are you planning to sorry, let me just adjust this. So are you planning to like shoot commercials with this phone?
No.
No?
I'm not.
Just
gonna shoot my
all the
friends.
selfies.
Selfies, friends.
I mean, it legit
Events.
looks like a professional photographer
does.
has
Yeah,
taken
it
these
does.
like pictures.
All I did was
It's
like
insane.
point them at someone and then like press the little button. And
Do you
it's
feel like you're learning things about photography?
I am not, because I don't have to make it. I don't have to make the adjustments myself. The camera just knows.
It's fucking crazy.
It is.
The technology
crazy.
is like insane.
It's actually pretty unsafe.
It's unsafe. Like I have too much power now.
Too much power.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I hope one day that our phones don't start like editing stuff for us, and then I'll be out of a job.
No, for real. Like this phone, like edits the photos in real time. Like you point.
I know, but I mean like
You mean like film,
editing video,
film.
like
Okay.
editing
Yeah,
video,
Yeah.
little commercials and stuff. You know,
Well,
they are doing certain things. Like there are function, like the new Adobe release is coming with this like function that auto resizes for Instagram, so that you don't have to.
Cool.
Which that was someone's job. Like that's
Yeah.
been some low level editing person's job in like
Yeah.
a small agency to reformat everything for Instagram. And now there's software that is going to do that for you. Which I don't want to do that job, so I'm fine with it because that sounds
Right.
horrible.
But eventually we'll all have robots who can do our jobs, but then we'll get paid the robots' salaries, so we can just sit around and watch Netflix.
That sounds
while we're
like-
getting paid the robot's salary.
That sounds like
love that.
that sounds like slavery to me. It sounds like robot slavery, does it not?
But as we just
No,
No, because
No?
robots aren't people.
yeah.
But I feel like what if they are? I mean, they're not people, but
what if their sentience makes
what if
them?
they're sentient?
What if that makes them human? What makes
But
the
they're not
person
human. They're not human, but they're robots, but they might be
Okay.
sentient, but they might have feelings. Like Ulysses.
I don't know. Ulysses isn't a person, though. I'd be fine with enslaving him.
eats.
As I said previously. I would be fine with it. I would just knock him out and put him in my closet when I didn't
Okay.
want to deal with
All
him
right.
anymore.
That's fair. I just, I feel like, this is a huge moral quandary for me personally.
Not for me.
quandary?
And I do.
Super
do you
black and
ever
white for
bond
me.
with your phone? Like, do you
yeah.
get sad when you? Like, I feel like my phone and I, even though I'm talking about it in its presence as not being as good as Sarah's phone, like I feel like we've been through a lot together. Like we've read a lot of books. We've
All right. Yeah.
taken a lot of journeys together. I've dropped her a lot.
It's spied on you for the government. Like
It's spying on me for the
and
government
you still trust
constantly.
it. You guys
I
are
know.
working on your relationship. Like I get it.
We've got a lot of trust issues, but we're trying to work it out.
I don't feel an emotional bond to my phone. I feel more of like a physical, like if it's not touching me at all times,
It feels
I feel
like an appendage, right?
Yes.
It's fucking weird.
My phone's in the bag back there on airplane mode, but I don't know.
Hillary's like, I'm not going to commit to this phone. I do not.
No,
have
I want
any
to upgrade
attachments.
this phone. Right
I
now we're
will
cool.
chat
We're
around.
dating.
We're
good.
I will walk out of this room and get a new phone immediately. Without a
like
thought.
if that phone fell in a toilet, like oops.
I actually
bummer.
kept,
I'd get a new one.
I kept my last phone. My last phone is in my room in its little pouch that my mom had made for
So
it.
you've got like a phone graveyard, is what you're saying.
I do too, though, because I don't know what to do with them.
No, but
What
I
do you
feel
do with
attached to
them?
it. Like this phone.
Honor the phone as you place it into its pouch for the last time.
My phone
this-
just sits in a basket growing dust because I don't know what to do with it.
This is the phone where I made some friends. This is the phone where I fell in love. Like this is the phone has the texts that were like important texts to me.
If you have Google, though, all that stuff will populate over to the new phone.
I know, but it's the device,
The physical device.
the physical object. But I have like a
See,
recording gene, so I have that kind of like.
My concern is that I probably have nudes on those phones, and I don't know how to get rid of them now.
I don't know how to fully wipe those.
Can have the phones because I don't really know what's on it. So it's mine now forever. It will sit in my box.
That's a good thing. That's a good thing to. That's a good way to protect yourself.
Just to be
from
fully
future
honest as to
snafus.
why I do not donate my phones, because I don't know how to get the pictures off
Yeah,
them.
I could have gotten like $300 for my old phone, but I was like, I'm gonna keep it for its sentimental value. Like, what is wrong with me?
That's a tough one. Wow. Maybe you should just.
I don't know.
do the
$300. I would have been like, you can have my nudes. That's fine. That's more than I've ever made on them.
Worth it.
No, I keep stuff. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I have hair from both of you. I'm just kidding.
Okay. All righty then.
It's right next to my phones in a little baggie.
No, I don't keep hair.
Welcome to the Feminine Mistake Podcast.
Still all about hair.
About phones and trophies, personal trophies.
Oh my god.
Serial killer artifacts? I don't know.
It's not. It's actually a podcast where we watch your favorite films or films maybe you've never heard of and
you don't want to hear of.
Or maybe you don't want to hear about. Sometimes TV shows, and we talk about how women are portrayed in them. This month's film, or not portrayed, or
Sorry, I'm just being
how
contradictory.
stereotypes are upheld. Sarah's like, is this even a podcast? This month's film is Making Mr. Right, and so we'll be getting back. We'll be jumping back in to that discussion. And of course, I'm one of your hosts, Nicole.
I'm your other host, Sarah.
And we are joined once again by our fabulous guest, comedian, director, writer, Hillary R. Heath.
Hey, I have a mystery voice still in the beginning that you've never heard before.
Never.
This is your life.
I'm unfamiliar to you.
Hillary should be very familiar to you, as she was a regular host on the show for the first 3 seasons.
Yes, I was.
Yes.
So welcome back, Hillary.
Thanks.
I could not think of anyone better to help us unpack this all this luggage that comes with this movie.
Yes. Yes. It did feel like a burden.
This was a bag I did not want to check. Before we get into that, I've got something that's been burning in me that I need to talk about.
You can see a doctor for that.
In fact, Sarah really, really wanted to talk about it on our last show, the Georgia Made podcast, but I had not seen this movie, and I finally saw it over the Christmas break. And so we've all seen this movie.
Yes, we have.
And we're going to chat about it for a minute. It's a little film called Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Yeah, just a little thing. You probably didn't even
it's
hear about it, honestly.
Unknown indie director.
Yeah.
Not sure.
I'm pretty sure it was his
up and
first
coming.
film.
Quentin
Something.
Tarantino?
Tarantino, that's right.
Tarantula?
Tarantino.
That's
it.
That's
Tarantino. Quentin Tarantino's latest movie, Once Upon a Time,
Pitt and
his chest,
and who? Leonardo DiCaprio. That's right. Yes.
Leonardo DiCaprio, yes. Margot Robbie.
Two brand new actors. The scene.
Okay. I don't know where to start, but I want to talk about this movie badly. I also would like to preface this by saying that I am a huge Quentin Tarantino fan.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
We've talked about him on the show before and some other problematic things about him as a person.
Oh, yeah, he's a problem, but
He's a huge problem, but his films
Mm-hmm.
I love and appreciate. And in fact, I would go so far as to say that sitting in the theater watching the first Kill Bill Volume 1, was one of the things that motivated me to go to film school.
Mm-hmm.
I did not like this movie.
Why?
Did not like. Gosh, I could go on and on. First of all, it's kind of boring. It is boring.
No plot.
Okay. I'm going to give everybody a chance to say their thoughts. I'm just going to come out of the gate and say it did not feel like a film to me. It felt like a series of really great scenes. Leonardo DiCaprio, fucking great. Fucking amazing in this movie. A series of really good scenes tied together loosely with a lot of driving.
There was a lot of driving.
I don't mind the revisionist history angle. I think it worked really well in Inglourious Bastards.
Mm-hmm.
I did not. The one Quentin Tarantino movie I haven't seen is Hateful Eight, so I can't speak on that.
Oh,
was
Hateful
good.
Eight's good.
Yeah, that's
It's really good.
But I as we are all big true crime people, I'm very familiar with the Charles Manson thing. I didn't feel like this revisionist thing where, and this is major spoilers for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. There was no emotion to the reversal to me at the end where Sharon Tate lives. There was no emotion because Sharon Tate was not a character. She was an object to me.
Can I ask you, did you
An
watch
object.
this alone or did you watch it in a theater?
I watched it with Chris.
Okay. I saw it in theaters, and I think that, you know, the collective experience at the end of it and the relief at the end when, you know, you don't watch the murders was, like, in the theater, I think it was, like, palpable, you know, to, like, be sitting there with all these people who, you know, almost everybody's familiar with the Manson case. Like, it's not a mystery to most people.
Yeah.
And, like, we all know, like, you're going to see a movie about Charlie Manson, you're probably going to see Sharon Tate get murdered. And, like, I think that as we got closer to that moment, there was a lot of tension in the theater.
I felt
and
that
then
too. Yeah.
For them to go to the wrong house and then have Leo DiCaprio like kill them with this flamethrower was just like people cheered in the crowd. Like people loved it. Like it was such a good cathartic moment for me that I really enjoyed that. And I like, you know, I liked it.
Which is totally,
Because of that, you know.
Totally valid. My other problem with that and that scene is that Brad Pitt's character, like, he fucking killed his wife. And it's played for laughs in a way that makes me very uncomfortable, in a way that feels very misogynistic. And then the way that, like, yes, we all know that Susan Atkins is a piece of shit. And Patricia Krenwinkel, like, what they did, what they did was fucking brutal and awful. But the way we are forced to watch this woman, her head being beat against a wall and the mantle, and like the violence with which these women were killed, which I think there was a little bit of extra given to them over even, say, Tex Watson's character. Like, in a movie that seemed to kind of hate women already, like, there was something brutal about it that made me feel gross.
I guess it's been a while since I've seen it.
I felt so gross.
I saw it when it was in theaters. So, yeah.
I felt so gross about it. Yeah. And it was like...
I don't know. I didn't feel gross about it, but I get why you did. I understand that.
I also don't think the movie was asking me to reflect on how I feel about violence against people, even if I assume that they are going to perpetrate violence. Like, if the movie was trying to challenge me to think about how I felt about extreme violence being perpetrated on people that I should hate, then I think that would have been brilliant. But I don't feel like the movie was asking me to feel that.
At the very end, too.
I don't think the movie was self-aware for me to be supposed to be thinking that. And I was like, ew. And I knew that if I was in a theater, people would be cheering for these women who are being brutally killed by someone who, and maybe I wouldn't have felt that way if they hadn't already introduced this element where he fucking murdered his wife and got away with it, like a piece of shit. If that element hadn't been introduced, I don't know if I would have felt the same way. I don't know.
I get that. I think I just forgive a lot because it's a Quentin Tarantino film, so I knew what I was going into.
Sure.
You know, I knew that I was going to see something really violent and, you know, that respect for women was not top priority. So, like, I think I knew that going in, so I forgave it a little bit more. But I get why you, like, feel that way.
And I've never felt that way about his movies. Again, haven't seen Hateful Eight. I hear Jennifer Jason Leigh takes a lot of beatings in that movie.
She does, but it's still a great movie.
But I've never felt that way about any of his other movies. I felt that way about him as a human being and the way that he interacts with some of the actors in his movies. But I've never felt that way about his movies before, where I just felt like these women, like I feel like this movie fucking hates women. I felt that way in those scenes where
and also the whole cult thing with all those
I liked that scene. That was one of the few scenes I did like.
I did like that scene. I just didn't like all of them just hanging around
But that's what it was really like.
That was
so that felt actually accurate, and the way they shot it, sort of like a Texas Chainsaw Massacre thing, felt good. But again, it didn't match with the rest of the movie.
It didn't.
So it felt like a series of fucking things strung together that didn't go together, like the Sharon Tate story and the story of this has-been actor didn't feel like they belonged in the same movie to me.
It was like a collection of scenes. Yeah.
But I don't know. I also kind of wonder if that was sort of the point. You know, like he said from the very beginning, you know, this isn't a movie about the Mansons. It's a snapshot of the time that they were living in Hollywood. So if that's really what you're trying to get, is like a snapshot of the various lives going on in these stories, then it is going to feel like a collection of scenes.
Sure.
You know?
But I don't think they did service to Sharon Tate's character by giving her a character at all.
Oh,
like, she was an object. She was an image of purity and goodness, and wasn't given, like, even when we're in the theater, she's just like, we're just meant to gaze at how nice she is, how nice and kind and beautiful she is. She's not given a character. We don't get any sense of her feelings about fame, or how she feels, or whether she likes being famous, or how she feels about being pregnant and her husband being in another place and leaving her alone. Like, we don't get any sense of her feelings about anything. And then, but we do get this very deep relationship between Brad Pitt's character and Leo DiCaprio's character, which I did care about, which doesn't even really have a satisfactory ending or resolution, because they're busy with this fucking nonsense where they're killing the hippies from the Manson family. Like, their story doesn't get, I don't feel like it's really wrapped up either.
There's no wrap up or
and anything. Quentin Tarantino's so good at juggling multiple storylines. Like, he's so skilled at that, and I feel like he really failed in this movie to do service to either of those stories.
Do you think he tried to make this film not make sense and not have a point, and not, like, it just felt pointless to me?
I don't think that was his intention. I think he got really wrapped up in reminiscing about old Hollywood. That's what it felt like this movie was about to me. It was about bowing down at the feet of old Hollywood.
That's fair.
And that's what the movie seemed to be about to me. And within that, there was some loosely story that was, like, strung together with some incredible performance. Yeah. Brad Pitt was okay.
I like that girl, that kid. I love that
girl
kid.
Was fucking
The little girl was great.
Yeah.
There was one moment where I felt very emotional about the revision of the history, and that was and I wanted more like this. When Jay Sebring comes up to and I can't remember anybody's names, Leo DiCaprio's character, when he comes up to him at the gate and he says, "What's going on? Are you guys okay?" And he's wearing the fucking pants that I've seen in the crime scene photos. I'm getting emotional talking about it. Like, just him talking about how, like, oh wow, I'm glad everything's okay. I felt very emotional in that moment, but nothing else about that had the proper weight to what was actually going on. Also, I don't fucking believe if Tex Watson had showed up there and Leo DiCaprio starts yelling at him, Tex would have just shot him in the fucking face.
Yeah.
That didn't make any sense to me at all.
That's true.
So,
well, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. It was all revisionist history.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think I maybe had a different experience just because I was in a theater, and so it was a lot of, like, catharsis at the end, you know?
There was that energy that doesn't exist when I'm watching it at home, for sure.
It was a very different environment, you know, but I get everything that you're saying, but, like, I think it was just the collective experience of being there and just anticipating it the whole time, waiting for the Manson murders the whole time for 2 hours, and then at the end when it doesn't happen and you just get to see these people get killed, it's like, it was very nice to see in a theater. But I get it.
And I felt that when I watched Inglourious Bastards at home as well. And I had that feeling watching Inglourious Bastards when all the fucking Nazis get murdered. I'm like, fuck yes, that felt so good. But I didn't have that feeling when I saw this movie. I was just like, fuck you. That's how I felt. I was like, fuck you. And I know that, I don't know. That's just what I was feeling. That it, like, none of it mattered. All of it was meaningless to me. And I wanted to like this movie. I was very excited about, we talked about this on the show, in the last show on the Georgia Made podcast, how much I wanted to see this movie. Yes. And Sarah, I didn't give you a chance to, I've been talking a lot. So what are your feelings?
So this was one of the first few dates I had with my last boyfriend. So I was not giving it the critical look that I would have, because I was thinking about the movie, but I was also like, hey, I'm on a date.
I'm on a date.
Yeah.
Let's watch a movie about feet.
Exactly. It was feet. And he actually turned to me, I think, during the movie and was just like, so many feet.
It's so funny. I went and saw it with Christo, and when we walked out, he was like, "So what did you think?" And I was like, "I want to go wash my feet."
Oh my God, so many dirty feet.
And, well, he yelled at me. He was like, "That's all you can say is that you want to go wash your feet?" And I was like, "Yes." I was like, "I need a minute to process the rest of what happened." But immediately, right now, what I'm feeling is I would like to wash my feet because I feel like they might be dirty. I'm in sandals.
But also like the whole like the male gaze of this
Yes.
movie, like how like just the young woman who like bent over to like talk to him in the car, and like every shot of her from behind, from the front, and it was all she was very like sexualized, and like she was like what 16, 15, something like that. And
I think most of those girls were under. A lot of them were around 18, younger.
Yeah, it just
a lot of them
creeped me out, and I felt like every shot of Margot Robbie was also very like, look how cute she is,
angelic.
Look how sexy she is, look how like, I don't know, it just felt very male gazy.
Yeah.
To me, the shots of Margot Robbie, I felt like there was a point to that.
Okay.
Like personally, I think like Sharon Tate is sort of held in this like little angelic space in a lot of people's minds because of how she died. And, you know, I think that he really leaned into that. And I think that there was a point to not giving her a character beyond just a happy person who's pregnant and living her life. You know, she didn't really have much else going on. And I think there was a point to that because it's how we remember her. You know,
and that's fair.
We remember her as this beautiful woman.
But if it's revisionist
I want more
history,
for her than that, you know?
Yeah.
You could have changed it up.
Yeah, no, I agree.
But I do agree that's probably the thinking was that like and maybe it was a bit of a manipulation for us to really like so that we're even feeling worse at the end when we think she's about to get fucking murdered. Like maybe that was part of it too. But I'm like, if you're going to give her scenes where she goes, like, I feel like there was almost an attempt to give her a character by having her go watch her own movie. Like I wanted more like that, but less about her just being one-dimensionally goodness personified.
Right.
I wanted something more than that because all the other characters got that. And I wanted that for her. And I guess I wanted us to have something more than just what we remember her as this angelic movie queen that was brutally murdered.
But she's also not our protagonist, you know? Like, we're creating a fictional story about these two other fictional actors, and, like, why create a fictional universe around Sharon Tate, you know, who's a real person?
But we do see her when they're not around.
We do.
And we even go to a scene where she goes to a party.
That's true, we do,
and
don't we?
She doesn't get to say anything. Steve McQueen talks about her.
Yeah.
And it felt that male gaze thing where it's like, even in her own movie, she doesn't have any agency, and that really bothered me a lot. Even though, again, Quentin Tarantino, lots of documentation as to how he's problematic as a person, but I've generally felt in a lot of his movies that the women in his movies have a story and they have agency, and I've always really loved that about his movies, even if he's a difficult person to reconcile with. And so it felt like he could do better than that to me.
Yeah. It feels like he gave up a bit. Like that's honestly what I thought. I was like, it feels like he just like phoned it in.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that his energy was put into other things, like the design of it and like recreating the Hollywood.
Beautiful film.
It was gorgeous. The production design was fabulous. Again, Leonardo DiCaprio's performance was excellent.
Excellent. Yes.
Brad Pitt's 50-something-year-old chest is something to behold.
I was truly mesmerized. I was like, he gave a fantastic performance, but then you said he did not, and I was like, you're right, I don't think he did. I think his abs
did all the talking.
Yeah.
And I was like,
and
wow.
like the shots of his butt, I was like super into that, I will say.
I was like, can a man in his 50s look like that?
I know.
What?
How?
It's Brad Pitt.
I'm into it.
Yeah.
It was
into it.
It was. I think that was the greatest virtue of his performance. And again, I think he's a great actor. I've seen him do great work. I thought he was like, he wasn't doing anything that was spectacular to me in this movie.
I think I was just horny for Brad Pitt, so I thought he was amazing the whole time.
Leo DiCaprio, there was a lot of depth going on. There was a lot of layers.
Yes.
Is Brad Pitt a good actor? I'm sorry to interrupt, but like,
I think he was. Yes, I think he's been great in many movies.
I feel the same way as Sarah.
Super sexy.
No, I thought he was really good in Seven. I thought he was really good.
I think he's a really good actor too. But I'm just saying, am I clouded by how he looks? Is he as good of an actor as he looks?
I mean, I've felt the same way about Henry Cavill, The Witcher.
Oh, okay. I haven't seen
He's
it yet.
not.
Henry
I've
Cavill.
come to the conclusion that he's not a good actor. He's just attractive.
Okay, that's fair. That probably.
But I
is
don't
right.
feel that way about Brad Pitt. I feel
You
like he is a
know,
good actor,
yeah,
but
he
he has
is.
some good performances.
It's
and
like Jason
some-
Momoa, like
Oh my
also
God,
very
yes.
attractive, not a good actor.
You know who else?
Yeah.
Chris
Chris Hemsworth is a great actor.
I'm sorry to tell you guys,
No, he
he's not.
is.
No, he's
He's
not.
great.
What
He's great
movies
at
has he
comedy.
been in?
He's
Have you
very funny.
seen- Have you seen?
I only know him from the front of a People magazine. I don't actually think
I
I've
thought
ever
he was
seen him
very
speak.
funny in the Ghostbusters
He
remake.
was very
haven't
funny,
seen
but
that.
is he a great actor?
I think
Have you
he's great at
seen-
comedy. I think he
Maybe.
should. I think if he had more of a comedy face like me,
I just don't.
Then he'd
even
be in
know
more
if I know who
comedies.
this man is.
Chris Hemsworth,
I
you know,
know,
Thor.
but-
Have you seen?
I haven't seen that.
Okay.
I don't watch any of the superheroes. I've seen the Marvel one, Miss Marvel, Marvel,
you seen
Captain
in
Marvel.
Captain Marvel.
Okay, I've seen that.
I was
one.
like, are you really
But don't they
talking
call her
about the
Marvel?
Marvelous Mrs. Maisel?
No, don't
'Cause
they call her
that's
Marvel in the
not a
in the
superhero movie?
I don't know. And then I've seen Wonder Woman. That's the only one.
It's
I've
Captain
seen.
Marvel.
Have you seen In the Heart of the Sea?
I've never heard of that movie.
Okay. It is a dramatic film set in New England in the 1700s. He plays the protagonist. It's about Moby Dick. It's basically the true story of the story of Moby Dick.
Oh, I remember
And
seeing
he
this
had
trailer.
So he is Australian. So he has an Australian accent.
Yeah.
They had him do a New England accent.
Cool.
Which
Sounds
was
easy.
terrible, and his acting was just god awful.
But no, you know, Natalie Portman is a great actress in some movies.
Yes.
In other movies, she is terrible.
Yes.
She's
That was
terrible
in
in
Jackie.
all the Thor movies.
Jackie, no.
I didn't see Jackie.
It was really good. I liked
Yeah.
her in that.
I didn't like Jackie.
I think there are a lot of
loved
movies where
Jackie.
she's great in Black Swan.
Great in
Oh,
Black Swan.
Fabulous in
Yes.
Black Swan. Not good in the Star Wars prequels.
No, definitely not.
Not good in Thor. So it's like I think that she has to have a certain type of director and script, maybe, or maybe I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
So maybe Hemsworth suffers from the same malady.
It was just, I mean, I watched the whole thing because I was like, I wanted to look at
Spotty acting syndrome.
Hemsworth, but I was like, ooh.
I also just I feel like sometimes actors take jobs in movies and they're like they just take them because they pay and they don't have to try hard. You know,
Yeah.
it's like
That's a
we
good
all
point.
need a break. You know,
No, he was
sometimes we
trying
just take
so
things.
hard.
to phone it in.
He was taking it very seriously. I could
Maybe
tell
that
he
was the
trying
problem.
super hard.
Maybe he should phone it in.
Yeah, maybe he should have.
Phoning it in is maybe a strong suit for him. Speaking of phoning it in, shall we get back into this movie?
Yes,
Yes.
where the writer
Discuss.
phoned that
Thank you for
shit
indulging
in.
me. I thank you for your viewpoints on Once Upon a Time in Hollywood because
Yeah.
I know a lot of other people really love this movie.
It's been a really long time since I've seen
And-
it, but I get where you're coming from, but I still really enjoyed it when I saw it.
That's
So.
fair though, but that's good. I just I think I was really expecting a lot from it. I felt very disappointed in watching it.
Fair.
And then once it got nominated for all these awards instead of a bunch of women that I think had a really
Yeah.
successful and stellar year, my rage just increased
Yeah.
exponentially. I don't think
Yeah.
this movie should have won the Golden Globe for Best Comedy.
Ooh,
Oh no,
no.
That made me
No.
fucking
Oh,
angry.
no.
no.
I didn't hear about
definitely
that.
not.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Have you seen Jojo Rabbit yet?
No.
So good.
I've heard it's so fucking good though.
So fucking good.
And I love that director.
so fucking good.
So
Just a brilliant movie.
that's
Talk
on
about revisionist history. That was fucking good.
that is on my list.
That was a really good movie.
All right.
Shall we?
Yes.
Shall we talk
Let's,
about
no.
this other shitty
Thank you.
movie? Sorry.
Let's get back. Instead of talking about cinema, let's get back to movies.
Talking about
Let's talk about movies.
Only available on YouTube.
The house is a mess, Jack. The kids are a mess, Jack. You're a mess, Jack.
You have been a total bitch ever since you came to New York.
You seem sort of distant.
Let's just do it, huh? You look stupid and rich. Stupid and rich. Fascist.
All right, let's get into it.
I think it was probably a wig so that they could put it on someone else and make it look like when they had.
You don't think that's John
scenes
Malkovich's
together.
real hair?
No, that looked totally fake.
I thought that was a real Malkovich.
I thought it might have been his
Dude.
real hair.
I mean, because they could have just made a wig for the other actor.
yeah.
Like, it's a big budget Hollywood production. They don't have to share a wig.
Lord.
It just they both looked fake. Like they, yeah.
The hair did look bleached or something. There
Yeah.
was something off
Yeah.
about it. Yeah.
But not dry enough to be bleached.
Everyone's hair looked a little fake in this movie.
Yes.
Yes,
At least-
except for Frankie's. Frankie's looked pretty.
No, Frankie looked awesome.
She looked awesome the whole movie, and she was like, "I haven't changed clothes in 2 days," and I was like, "I don't believe you."
Yeah.
You look
Well, she was
like you
wearing
were
that one
pressed.
dress for
Yes.
like a long time.
Which I did question.
Yeah, I was like, do they not
You
have enough
went
money?
home.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
why didn't you just grab
Also, why
another
is she
dress?
sleeping at the lab? I'm very confused about that.
why?
Like, Trish was there. It took us a couple of scenes to figure this out. So the first scene with her and the old guys, I guess those are the agents for Donald.
Yeah, something like
And
that.
they're like, you can't stay here because they're fighting. And I didn't understand what that scene was about until like 3 scenes later when I was like, oh.
Yeah.
But that's like the thing that has to get her to the lab. But I'm like, why does she have a room at the lab?
I don't know, but I also would have just like gone and been like, "Sorry, dude, I need to grab some tennis shoes. My feet hurt. Move."
Right?
You know, just like, or take that $20 he gave you and go buy a dress.
Why does she have security clearance to get into this lab?
I don't know. She's the PR manager.
Why
For
has
a
she been
separate
tasked
outside
to
company.
Why
train
is
this
she-
robot about human emotions?
And why
Is that a
why
PR
is-
job?
And why is he surprised that she teaches some weird things about sex and love if she doesn't have any expertise in
I mean, she's
the stuff that he's supposed to
PR.
be doing in space?
Yeah.
She's literally just supposed to be making him personable enough
likable.
to
Yeah.
go on Carson. That's literally that was her one job.
It's true.
Like, and she's just like, "No, these are breasts."
Is Frankie good at her job?
No.
No, I haven't seen her promote
That's
a
a resounding
single
no.
thing the
No.
whole movie.
She does have a car full of flyers for the senator.
Yeah.
For some reason.
Well, she was originally his PR manager.
Yes, yeah.
and stepped down.
And
Because of personal reasons.
like
Yeah.
I was confused why she gave him a kiss on the cheek too, because it was just after like they had a weird exchange, and then he was like, "What was that?" And she was like, "It's a kiss. It's what you do when you like someone or are attracted to them." And I was like, "Are you saying you
Why?
like him or are attracted to him?"
Yeah.
Like,
And then she's like, "Here, stand outside this window and watch me sleep."
He's like, just like, he was like
I'm
listening.
like, what was the difference between him standing at the door watching you sleep or just standing in the room? Honestly, at that point,
there's a difference
So
for me.
here's my question. There's 2 things I really want to tackle. First of all, okay, I'm just going to roll this into one question. We're supposed to be rooting for them to get together, right? The robot and the human woman.
Sure. I was rooting for Jeff and her to get together.
Were you?
No, I was not
Ew.
rooting for anyone. I had no.
So at first I was a little put off by it, but then I was like, I mean, is it okay to fall in love with a robot if he has an enormous dick?
I mean, my heart tells me no, but my mind is telling
is
me
there
yes.
anything wrong with it? I mean, he's basically a giant vibrator, right? That's what he
Fine
is.
with it. You know what you do in the privacy of your own home with your robot.
But
is
she's
up-
going to
is
need
your
to get some
business.
kind of robot repair person to maintain him, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I mean, honestly, if we're talking about it, this has happened already, and
What?
there are sex robots.
Yeah.
Yes, that's
Like
true.
Whitney Cummings' whole
Yeah.
stand-up special that just came out is about.
Oh, I did not see this.
Yeah, she bought
Yeah,
a sex
she-
robot that is made to look like her.
For her boyfriend when she's out of town.
Oh.
Yeah, and
And he hates it.
it is hilarious because now she owns this like couple $1,000 robot of herself.
Fucking
And it looks
that is
crazy.
just
So it
in
looks
her
just
house.
like her, yeah.
It looks just like her, and it's just in her house.
Does it talk?
Yes.
Yep.
And it like
Does she program it with her jokes?
I think she programmed it to tell a joke on the special. Yeah.
she did.
Because the robot comes
What
out and she
the
talks to it. Yeah.
fuck?
Yeah,
I
and
have to see this.
Like, ugh.
So
It was
Ulysses
creepy.
technology is here, you
It is
guys.
here.
And naturally they're not using it for space, they're using it for sex.
Yes, only sex.
Honestly, though, listening to her, I forget what podcast she was on, but she was on a podcast talking about it because she actually went to the place where they manufacture them and talked to people about it. And like, apparently it's a big thing for people in the disabled community to use.
Oh, okay.
And
that's-
like,
I'm on board with that.
Yeah. So it's just like, it's, companionship, learning how to do things. Some people use it to like explore their sexuality and like test out new things without like having to have another partner. Anyway, it was very
That is
fascinating. The like idea
So
behind it.
Ulysses could be used for good.
Exactly. Exactly. So, like, when you look at what it could be used for, it's not just creepy dudes. It's, people who have a legitimate need and someone is filling that need in the marketplace.
Yeah.
But is this a relationship built on equality in any way?
No. I mean, it's not no. And also, in this movie, he was not made for that. He's just inexplicably horny.
That's true.
And
I mean, I feel like
sentient.
that's a huge flaw in the
I feel
programming.
like they should have addressed it somehow.
But it also gives me all these weird feelings about like robots and like, should they be treated with some kind of humanity?
I don't think so.
But like, I mean,
If they run out of batteries, they're just a piece of the furniture.
but you know,
Hillary.
but
It's a
Ulysses has wants and needs, and what if your Roomba
If you
does
can't
too?
treat your robot with respect, how are you supposed to treat another human being with respect, Hillary?
If you
Yes,
can't
I'm
treat
sorry.
your vibrator with respect,
I'm going to need to introduce my vibrator to my parents at Christmas dinner this year.
No!
She deserves to be treated with respect. Oh my God. My vibrator is a she.
that's
Yes.
great. I think that's awesome.
Yes.
Okay. I just wanted to address that because that's something that's
Thank
been on
God
my mind.
we did that.
Sarah, what else you got on your list?
The only other thing which we talked about everything that I put on my list except, we brushed on it, but John Malkovich's acting.
I want to talk about his acting for sure.
Okay, cool.
I think that if there's a look, this movie is not the worst movie we've ever watched for
No,
the show.
It's not.
It's not.
It's not Love Story.
Oh God,
It's not
the
even
love story.
Yeah,
is
like I
tedious.
feel like there was way more stuff that we watched that was more fucked up and weird and bad.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But like this movie was like boring at points.
Yeah.
It was very boring.
It was the dialogue. There were some great puns.
yes.
That circumcision joke in the dressing room
Was brilliant.
was the highlight of this movie for
It
me.
was just classic comedy writing.
Yes.
Loved it. Great moment.
But overall, the writing was pretty bad.
Overall,
Pretty
yes.
bad.
Didn't make a lot of sense. Characters behaved in ways that were very confusing to me.
Mm-hmm.
But John Malkovich, and I would also argue, and I don't have her name written down, but the actors who played Frankie, the two of them were really great.
Yeah.
They were.
They were acting their ass off.
They
Yeah.
did a great job.
And they weirdly had some chemistry, I
Yeah.
feel like.
They
Weirdly.
did. I mean,
As
it
much
was
as they could.
kind of inexplicable chemistry, but they did have chemistry. Well, like when he was playing Dr. Jeff, the scientist man, and her, like, I don't understand why they had. I still am baffled by the ending.
Okay.
Like with the wedding, like why did he go to the wedding? Not the ending.
why did
with the
Jeff go to the
switcheroo.
wedding?
Like the switcheroo, I saw coming very early on.
Sure.
But the wedding, like why did Jeff go? It was such a weird
Yeah, that was
change in his
confusing.
personality.
So-
And why did he go back to Trisha's room and have her like assault him?
yeah, right. I was like, that's
Did he?
not a massage.
So is it one
Trish.
of those things where it's a man who says he hates women, but he actually just wants a woman to give him attention?
That's an incel.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
what it felt like this character was. He was like, like a prototype incel. it
Right.
seemed
And
like,
and
to me.
listeners, I just learned this recently listening to a different podcast, but incel is involuntarily celibate.
Yes.
Just
Yes.
in case you didn't know. Yes.
Yes. Although Jeff does go on dates, it seems like, but he also
Yeah.
ignores women.
But he also seems like he's forced to go on those dates. Like but that's the thing is he's not interested in some women, and it's like that one woman is giving him so much attention. So
Yeah.
why isn't he into it?
Because she's
then
giving him so much attention.
Yeah.
Trish doesn't seem, but Trish gives him a shitload of attention, and he goes off with her. But also, I think that he
But
doesn't
he's-
really have a choice, and Trish is inexplicable too.
yeah, it seems like he's there to talk about black holes.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's
what they were talking about. He was talking about space with her.
Is this like a Ross Geller moment where he like shows her his slides?
I think that's what it was. He was showing
Okay.
her his slides.
but also
in a hotel room?
but
with
also
a vibrating band.
Yeah.
how and he even said at one point that he's not good with relationships, and the fact that he went off with her and was kind of like duped, like kind of like led by her, also made me feel like he's on this spectrum too.
So was she like taking advantage of him? then?
Yes. I think so. He didn't seem to really
don't
be
know.
aware of what was going on.
I think the writers gave up in this point,
Yes.
and we
Yeah,
shouldn't
it
give
was
them too much
very
credit.
unclear.
That's right.
It was
That's how I
unclear.
feel.
It was unclear.
I think the writers were like, I don't know, man, we got to get him to the wedding so that we can make this whole thing.
Well,
with
I think the
with
thing
falling
is
in the
they had
pool
to have
happen.
Trish take him away so
Yes.
that Ulysses.
Yes.
It was all very
Yes.
poorly executed, but
Yes.
the reason for them to go off together, which I did predict when we were watching it. I know I've seen this movie a lot, but I haven't seen it since the 1980s, and I did not
Somewhere
remember
in
it
the
at
deep
all.
recesses of your brain.
I was like, I feel like Trish is going to try to have sex with Jeff at the wedding.
Oh, yeah. Well, when she saw him, she was like, that's that big dick dude that I really liked. And this
Right.
one's head won't pop off.
Exactly. But you know that the dick is not that big on the man. I would think.
I would assume, but I think Trish assumes
does she
differently.
wants to see? Is she just curious?
I would want to see.
Curious?
I would
mean,
be curious as well.
Yeah.
I would want to see him in a pair of sweatpants. You know what I mean? Like I want to see him jogging around on a b-ball court in some shorts. You know, like I would want to know. I have to be curious.
I mean, you know. Also, so they're at the wedding. Jeff goes with Frankie because Frankie wants to make Steve jealous. Which, why is Steve at the wedding?
Steve is giving away his sister for some reason.
But why?
Right?
Or
Can
her
we
sister.
talk about
So
that? We were so like,
confused about
why
that.
is he
Asked if he
giving
could.
her? Why would your brother give you away?
Like,
Well, it's not her brother. It's her sister's boyfriend, ex-boyfriend, giving her away.
But,
doesn't
they're
make
even
any
worse than
sense.
your
relationship
brother.
he has with the family that we don't know about. It's not written into the script
I
anywhere.
wonder if it was like a publicity stunt that he was trying to do with giving her away at the wedding because it's a poor girl. She doesn't
As
have a
most
dad.
senators
like,
do.
You know, like most senators
That's a
running
classic
for office.
senator move.
Like, I mean, Elizabeth
Kissing
Warren
babies.
is giving away people at weddings left, right, and center.
Yeah, that I didn't get
what
that
she's
at all.
known for.
But they're like, we have to shoehorn everyone into this wedding.
Yes,
Like, come
everyone
hell or
had to
high
be
water,
there.
everyone is gonna have to be there.
Yes.
Ulysses still has his suit from the mall. He walks like a billion miles to get there.
Ruins the bottom of his pants.
I know. And then
The secretary assistant lady is
also
campaigning
there.
too hard and has
Yes.
now pissed Steve off because she's too good at her
he's
job.
so mad that he's gonna shave off that
Like,
mustache.
Frankie never did any work.
Mid-wedding.
Like, what are you doing?
I like it when women don't do things.
Me too.
That's my preference as well.
And then, but here, I do want to circle back to the performance of John Malkovich because he definitely like makes them two very separate characters.
Yes, he does. And you can
Yes.
tell immediately who is who.
It's very clear.
Yeah.
And Frankie seems to be able to tell immediately who is who as well because when
Sometimes.
Ulysses gets there, she knows right away at the wedding that that's Ulysses and not Jeff.
Right.
Yeah.
Without even getting that. Like, he comes in to dance with her and she's like, oh, fuck. Ulysses is here.
Yeah.
But, like, Ulysses has this, like, childlike open-eyed,
yeah.
open mouth.
Open
Yeah.
mouth.
Qualities, like, a lot of open mouth acting. A lot of head tilting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Angelic looking. But then when you...
He also smiled just like the whole time as Ulysses.
He
Ulysses was always
he
smiling.
does seem like a child, and that mixed with the fact that he's so horny is very upsetting.
I did not care for that.
I
That
did
was
not
like
either,
a
no.
mismatch that
Yeah.
made me very
No.
uncomfortable.
Yes.
It was a lot. Yeah, especially when in the beginning they also describe him as a child. Like
Yes.
he's a toddler who's got to learn stuff. And then they're
Yeah.
like, let's bring in a lady to teach him some
Yeah,
stuff.
exactly.
At one
That's what
point,
he
she
felt.
says to him after she sees him naked
Yeah.
at the changing room, she says, I thought of you like a child.
Yeah.
Why would Jeff give you that thing? That's what
Yeah.
she says.
Thing, yes.
Yeah.
And I was like, this conversation is making me very
But
uncomfortable.
like when he first grabs her boobs again, I've had toddlers do that.
and
when
by
they see
toddlers, you
boobs.
mean my son, right?
Elliot, yes.
Yeah. He does that to me too. He actually
great.
bangs on them, and I'm like, stop! You are too old for this. I'm like, it worries me about his future, you guys.
I don't think so. I think
know.
he's still too young for that to be a.
None of my children have ever banged on my boobs like that.
I don't think it's
fun to
about your
bang
boobs,
on,
though. I have a
no.
feeling it's a texture and
Yeah.
a
It's just got
bounce
a
effect.
texture thing.
It's just a,
Yeah.
He also likes to smack my arm flab and watch it just swing around.
See, maybe that's it. He just likes jiggly things.
likes
He's just like,
jiggly
I just want to
things.
see your boobs
He'll
bounce.
be one of those guys who likes fat girls.
I hope so. Or fat guys. I don't know. we
That's
don't
true.
know. We don't know.
Yeah. Not that you're fat. No, I'm not saying
As long
you're
as
fat.
it's not
okay.
fat
It's a-
horses, we're okay with it.
I'm
where
just
we draw the
saying
line.
his like fascination with boobs is a little weird for his age.
I don't think so. Anyway.
Anyway,
Sarah enjoys the attention.
No. I'm just saying I don't think there's anything for you to be concerned about at this stage.
Okay.
That's
We'll check back in like 5 years.
5 years. Okay, cool.
Check back in. Stop looking. Like, I mean, of my children, he's the only one that when I'm talking to him, I have to tell him to look at my face.
Seriously?
Yes. No. I'm not joking.
Oh no.
And I'm like, what are you doing?
Okay, maybe.
You see what I'm saying?
Maybe. I mean, like, I
see
could
what
see
I'm
that
saying?
being a problem at the preschool. You know,
You
Like,
right?
I could see it being a problem at a certain point.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else to say?
That was my list. I had icky men, pathetic women.
Yep.
Why does he love?
We should talk about the ending.
The ending.
Yeah.
So the ending, right? So they're all they all convene at this. They're all shoehorned into this wedding,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Ulysses confesses his love for Frankie. They kiss. He short circuits and falls into a pool, which I would think if he were going into space, he'd need to be waterproof.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I can drop my phone into a pool and it's not going to die.
Yeah. Fair.
So the android should be at least waterproof, right?
I feel like he should be waterproof.
I mean,
yeah.
he eats.
I don't know. Why did they program him to do anything? Why? I'm sorry. Just like, why is he waterproof? Why isn't he waterproof? Why does he breathe air? You know, you would think if you're sending someone into space,
Where
you don't
does
want them to
the
breathe
food
air.
go?
Where does the food? Why does he need nutrition? Like, it's just like, it doesn't make any sense. Why would you make it harder on yourself? Just build a box.
Just make
sit
C.
there.
Why not just
Yeah.
C-3PO from Star Wars?
Exactly.
Make any sense?
They did it to make this film, you guys.
I think it's because he always intended to make a sex robot. I don't know.
maybe he wanted to have sex with himself.
Maybe. I
Probably
mean,
was. Why else make the dick that big?
so to give him confidence, Hillary.
Somebody did.
So in the end, Ulysses gets very popular after he's the headlines are lovesick robot.
Yes.
Right. Convinced, like, and all that. People are taking pictures next to his cardboard cutout. So in a way, Frankie did exactly what she was supposed to do.
Yeah, she did her job.
And then
Yes.
very suddenly, Ulysses is going up into space.
Yes. Just
She
immediately.
comes to say goodbye.
But not before he tells Jeff that he doesn't want to go into space because he
Yes.
loves Frankie.
And Jeff screams a lot.
He screams a lot.
Yeah.
The whole
You're
movie.
not programmed to love.
And then, so we have the press conference.
He's
which
not
was
confused enough.
super awkward. And nobody wants her there at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
No.
They're like,
Everyone's
"What are you
very
doing
upset.
here?"
People are mad at her for going.
And Jeff.
And he lies. Ulysses is like, I'm not
That's not
lovesick
Ulysses.
anymore.
That's not Ulysses. I think
That's
that was
Jeff.
Jeff. That's Dr. Scientist Man.
Yeah, like I think that's supposed to be our clue. And we were watching this movie. I didn't remember a goddamn thing about it. But at the very end, at the wedding, I turned to Sarah and I was like, I think I remember something about this movie now. And what I remembered is that Jeff goes up to space and not Ulysses. And so during the press conference, I already knew.
Yeah.
And like when he's saying, like all that stuff about humanity and how terrible it is, and like I'm more alone here than I would be up in space alone. I'm like,
Yeah,
that's
you're
Jeff.
right. That didn't
Yeah.
seem like Ulysses.
No, and the posture and the everything, like the whole performance, like that was Jeff saying those things.
And also, it was just like he was sad, and like Ulysses is such a happy robot,
Yeah, you're
and
right.
he's like
Yeah.
he didn't have that wide-eyed childhood
No.
thing anymore, and so
I was thinking that
that.
Jeff had like gotten into his system and had like turned off his like.
I mean,
love
that probably would have
thing.
been the scientific way to go about this
so
problem.
but let me ask you: do you think that the whole so we've been talking about why make the robot to look like you? Do you think that was the plan all along? Go up into space and let a robot stay here as you and live your life?
I mean,
Is that why? I mean, like,
feel like
why
it
else?
seems like a long con. Like, why not just volunteer to go up into space? He clearly
Because he's
loves
going to-
eating the protein
He
paste.
they
does.
wouldn't
He's carrying
let-
it around his pocket.
I mean, I feel like the space program doesn't want to spend their money on things that will fail, and I feel like human beings in space for that long with that amount of distance, they'd be like, it's going to fail, so we want to send up something that won't fail.
Did they send up enough rations for him to be able to survive
That
in
one
space for
tube
7
was
years?
supposed to be 4 weeks of protein.
Yeah, was that the whole point of having that?
Yeah,
that tube
like having
there?
him eat and drink and all that other shit.
Why does the robot have to eat?
Is it because
Why?
the robot would have to be here?
Doesn't he just get plugged into a wall charger at the end of the night like my
It's a
phone
long
does?
con. I might be giving the writers again too much credit, but I think it was the long con.
think?
Why else make the robot look like you and have to eat unless it has to pass as human?
I think he genuinely had planned to put Ulysses up there. I really wish we had a scene where him and Ulysses came to there was some kind of indication that this turn was going to happen.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like we should have seen there be some kind of dawning
Decision.
realization that he was going to go up there instead. Because otherwise, like, what is Ulysses doing this whole time? Is he in robot jail? Like, is he packing his bags? Is he looking for apartments? I mean, what is happening?
What's his IQ? I'm just curious.
He has to live as Jeff now.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
He has to.
So does he have to go to work at the lab and build other robots that look like him? Is this a boxes within boxes
just
situation?
Gonna explore the idea of different sized dicks.
He's gonna like repopulate the earth with Jeffs.
Gross.
Is he gonna build himself a baby? Because
That
at one point he says he wants to have a baby.
Why did he want a baby so bad?
Making
Weird.
Mr. Right Part 2.
making
Making
Mr. Right's
Making
babies.
my perfect daughter.
No. Okay.
3 Men and a Baby remake we just didn't want.
Was the ending surprising to you guys?
No.
How long did it take you to figure out what was going to happen?
I saw it coming pretty quick.
When he was in... when did it happen? It was
You
like,
turned to me pretty late and you were like,
was late.
That's Jeff, isn't it? It
It
was
was
like
late,
right before the movie ended.
Yeah.
It was like before Ulysses showed up, but while Jeff was still on the ship.
Because I didn't think they would do something that dumb.
I kind of saw it coming at the wedding because when Jeff agreed to go to the wedding with her, I was like, oh, that's not Jeff. It's Ulysses then agreeing to go to the wedding. Jeff would never agree. And then when I found out it was Jeff, I was like, oh, they're going to do a switcheroo later then. I was like, that would just make sense.
I also am a Buddhist and don't think ahead in films. I'm present in the moment.
Staying in the moment.
Staying in the moment. No, I'm just kidding. Like that. But that's literally is like I don't think ahead usually in films. I usually just let it
I can't help myself.
Yeah, I can't
like when it
either.
comes to me, I'm like, oh, like I feel like there's a whole lot of there's usually things pointing you subtly in that direction at least, but no, they didn't.
No,
not
this
point
movie
you-
did not have a lot of subtlety.
no.
It was some pretty wild left turns.
And then they end up together.
Yeah, and but
the
then
end.
at,
do.
at the end. I think that I was like, okay, they couldn't have ended this with Ulysses going up and leaving her behind. They couldn't have happened. Like
And Frankie has too many shoes to take into space with her.
Way too many. He sent her
And
one
have
of
you
every
seen her
size.
car?
yes.
That ship is gonna be a mess.
It's gonna be filled with coffee cups and old newspapers for some reason.
Are we happy for them at the end?
Are we?
we?
It was
I
kind
don't know.
of weird how she was like, "I love you too," and he like collapsed.
Well,
and,
he
like
shorts out every time he gets aroused.
But
I
that's
feel
the
like.
thing that I kind of like too. Like I kind of there's something kind of feral about like having to rip the head off a man that you just fucked. You know, like
I got to reset my mind.
I love it. It's like it's like an insect just like devouring.
So you're
its mate.
saying
you know,
you
I
would-
just like love it.
you would have sex with a man while he was incapacitated.
That's exactly what I'm saying. God.
I think she means that you have to
messing.
reset him afterwards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's like something about
gotta-
that. It's like kind of nice. Like, yeah, it's like I did so good he passed out.
Yeah.
You know?
There you go. I
There's
feel
something
that.
about that. It's a big ego
very
boost. Like,
powerful.
every time you finish, just like self 5. I did it. Ah. And then you can just like go to sleep by yourself, reset him in the morning. You know, you don't even have to
Right?
deal
Like
with
you
him.
don't have
Just
to cuddle with
push
him.
him onto the floor.
Just
Oh my
like
God.
put him
Turn
in,
on
put him in his
Letterman.
robot closet.
Cuddling is
wheel
the
him in there.
best.
That's what I'm saying. He's a second class citizen. He's a robot. How is this gonna go?
I don't know, man, but that's how it would go in my household. Reset him when I want him to come back.
Like I don't want a boyfriend this week.
I just
You're
only
staying in the closet.
I don't have
Oh
enough
God.
money to cook for 2 this week,
No.
so we're
and,
just gonna
and this robot eats for some reason,
just
inexplicably.
and so much.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
He's never satiated.
Final thoughts on Making Mr. Right. Is this a movie that you would recommend to a friend?
No,
No.
Does this
No.
movie advance the progress of humanity?
Well,
No.
maybe it did. It might have influenced the robot sex industry that we know today.
I mean,
No and
Whitney
love.
Cummings has, her own robot of herself.
I don't know.
Yeah.
And she didn't even have to program him.
I don't know. I don't think this movie made too many strides.
No.
Yeah, it certainly upholds a lot of uncomfortable stereotypes of men being awful and women being fucking insane. I mean, I feel like that's the thesis of this movie.
Yeah.
Men are creeps. Women are fucking insane. Our best hope is that a robot android with an enormous dick will fall in love with us. That's our best hope, ladies.
Just like you.
That is our best hope.
I'm sorry, Frankie. I always seem to fall apart at the wrong time.
That's okay, Ulysses. Nobody's perfect.
Ulysses, how is the mission going so far?
It truly is the most exciting thing in the world.
Is it difficult functioning out there all alone?
No. You see, I'm not very good with people.
All right, so before we get into our plugs, we just wanted to do the Bechdel test on this fine film that we've been discussing.
Truly a marvel of cinema.
A Marvel, even.
A marvel of cinema. That's what they call her in the movie, okay?
Do they?
Yes.
Yes.
Her
They
last
do?
name, when
Marvel.
she's not the alien person, she's so-and-so Marvel.
Right. I completely forgot about that part.
I know more about nerd
You
movies
do.
than you do. So.
I'm going to turn in my nerd card. I'm not super nerd for I'm not super nerdcore for Marvel. I'm really more Star Wars is my thing.
Let's not.
No?
Let's
Nerdcore.
not.
You're like,
No,
never
we're
say
not
nerdcore
Speak
again.
of that. Do not speak the words.
Bechdel test. So let's see. Okay, so it's been a while, so let's refresh ourselves on the rules. So the Bechdel test. Does this film have more than one female character in it?
Yes.
It does.
So many ladies.
Many ladies. There's Mom, there's Trish, there's Frankie, there's assistant lady.
There's assistant lady. There's
that
lady that's obsessed with Dr. Scientist
There's
Man.
that guy. I don't know what her name is.
I
I'm
don't know. I
pretty
don't
sure
think
she
she has a
said
name.
it. I
There's-
think she said it.
There's that woman who Ulysses touches in the head when he
Yes,
gives her a pat.
that was-
Oh, yes.
That was hilarious. I
Yes,
did
that
enjoy
was
that.
actually
Very
pretty
funny.
funny. So we've got a movie with more than one female character. They have names, so that's
of them.
good. Do they talk to each other?
They definitely
Sometimes,
do.
yes.
They do. Do they talk? There's a lot of conversations between women in this movie. But do they talk about something other than a man?
Never.
Absolutely not.
Absolutely fucking
There's
not.
not even a salesman that they talk to that's like, hey, could I please purchase a coffee from you?
Yeah, nobody orders a pizza,
woman.
returns a library book.
Nope, nothing.
Not a damn thing. They are just talking about men and relationships the whole fucking movie.
Not even the weather.
Do they even talk about something about the booze? Like, is there anything about the... They don't even talk about
No,
the booze
she literally
case.
comes and she sits down and she starts complaining about Donald.
So,
What about science? Do they talk about science?
no.
There are no lady scientists in
No
this movie.
lady
They're all
scientists.
assistants.
No, there are no lady scientists.
They're all assistants.
No, nobody. The waitress doesn't even come up and ask what's her. Ask Laurie Metcalf if she wants more Jello.
Right?
What
Not a
was
damn thing.
Full container of Jell-O,
What about
though.
the person who sold her the earrings?
That was a man.
That was a man.
That was a man.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Don't
I'm just
even-
checking. I'm just checking.
So, a big fail. Big
Yep.
fail on the Bechdel test.
Big fail.
F.
You're like, excuse me, Miss Ma'am.
Welcome to Plug It Up. This is the part of the show where we talk about what the cool things that we're up to and our guest is up to. Let's start with our guest, Hillary R. Heath.
Okay. Well, for the final half of February and early March, you can catch the sketch group that I produce called Black as Fuck.
Yes.
We'll be at the Highland Inn on February 29th.
Fuck yes.
It's an all-black sketch
Special
group.
day.
I'll be-
Leap year.
Yes, it's
Leap
very
year show.
exciting. And so please come on out and see that at the Highland Inn.
Where can they get tickets and shit for that? And
all
follow that shit.
Yeah, all that information will be on Instagram at Black AF Comedy. And so you
Yes.
can find Black AF Comedy on Instagram. We'll have a website and a ticket link and everything up there shortly.
Yes.
And if
Very
you
funny
are
show.
living in Pittsburgh, you can
Are you
come
going to
see-
Pittsburgh?
I am. I'll be at
my
the Burning
gosh.
Bridges Festival in Pittsburgh in
Whoa.
March. So please check my Instagram for those dates. I haven't gotten my final dates yet. as of this recording, but I will be in Pittsburgh in March.
But if you follow Hillary on the social medias, you can find those dates out.
And you can see Sweet Laughter at Baker Dude Cafe on March 24th.
Nice. March is looking good.
I know.
And she'll have more.
Oh, yes. Yeah. There will be more dates up on my Instagram. That's just as of this recording in January.
So you should definitely follow Hillary on all the things.
Yes, please do.
So give us a handle.
It's at Hillary R. Heath Comedy on Facebook and at Hillary R. Heath on Instagram and Twitter.
Nice.
Yes.
And also have a website, HillaryRHeath.com.
So go there, fill out the contact form.
Yeah, get on my mailing list.
You have a mailing list?
I'm starting a mailing list because I should start a mailing list.
Can you?
Yes, I've been thinking about that as well.
Put me on your list?
Yes.
Yeah, put me on that list.
Okay.
I want quarterly newsletters.
Okay, they're going to be weekly, daily
daily newsletters,
hourly.
every day. You'd be like, this is what I had for
Pre-lunch,
breakfast.
It's just going to be
post-lunch.
a summary of my Twitter and what I've eaten that day.
Oh, man. All right. Well, thank you. Follow Hillary on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and keep up to date with all the awesome comedy shows she's doing. And follow Black as Fuck Comedy.
Yes.
At Black as Fuck,
Black
AF.
Black
Comedy.
AF comedy.
Black AF Comedy.
Instagram doesn't deal with that fuck shit.
No, they really don't.
It's better for marketing.
Yeah. Everyone knows what AF means.
A little hard. Otherwise.
Okay. Well, Critical Crop Top. What do we got going on? We at this point we should be. This, of course, this is being recorded in January, but we should be deep in to the beginning of Tutorial Tuesdays. So, Tutorial Tuesdays is a new series that we are putting out on YouTube. It is me talking about editing things, teaching you the basics of editing in Premiere.
Nicole is a great editor and a great
thank you.
teacher too.
Thank you. So if you're out there and you're editing curious, or you've got some content, editing curious, want to edit some things that you're working on, we want you to be able to do that. So come check out our Tutorial Tuesdays. They come out twice a month. We had one go out on the 5th, and the next one, the 11th. God, I need to get my fucking dates straight. One went out on the 11th. It doesn't matter. It's up there. You can see it right now. The next one is coming out on the 25th, so you can check that out. That's our YouTube channel, Critical Crop Top. And we're deep, I assume, because this is the future and I'm predicting. Mm-hmm. I'm looking into the future and predicting that we're deep into pre-production on our sketch comedy web show, the Critical Crop Top sketch comedy web show, which may have some other title at some point. I don't know, but at this point, that's what we're calling it. It will be brand new sketches, monthly. Release date TBA. We will keep you updated on that, but it will be on the YouTube channel. So subscribe to us on the YouTube channel.
Subscribe
so that you can get all this fabulous new stuff that we're putting out.
Get all the notifics.
All the
nice.
I like the abbreves.
Thanks.
Some good abbreves. And of course, please subscribe to this podcast if you like what you hear. We are on Apple Podcasts. We're on Stitcher. We're on Podbean. Hopefully by the time this recording comes out, we'll be on Spotify. I need to get off my butt. It's actually not that hard. It's literally just a box you check.
It is.
And I just need to check the box. So please subscribe to this podcast.
And tell your friends too.
Yeah, tell a buddy. Tell a pal.
Yeah.
Sit down in front of YouTube and watch Making Mr. Right and then enjoy this podcast.
Yes. Watch it at the same time.
Hot takes. So you can, of course, also follow us on social media where you can continue the conversation with us about how you feel about the impending cross-species relationships between
we're trying
humans
to
and machines.
the world
with robots.
With that big robot dick.
At Feminine Mistake Pod on Instagram and Facebook, and you can find us on Twitter at Femmistake Pod. Hillary, it has been so fucking great to have you on the show.
It's so fun.
So
Thank you guys for having me back.
Yes.
This has been fucking fabulous, and obviously you are welcome to come back anytime. You want to talk about something that you wish you hadn't watched.
Okay. If you guys discuss something truly heinous, I might have to come in and lend my voice for a soundbite.
I am sure we will. So I guess that's going to be it for this show. Come back and join us next month. I don't have any information about what we'll be watching, but I'm sure it'll be
up to you.
But shoot us a message. What do you want us to watch?
Yeah.
What would you like us to talk about? And with that, I think that's gonna be it for this week.
That's us signing off.
Are we signing off? Is that something we're doing now?
I don't know. I don't know. Don't, please.
I don't know.